Want to know the best feeling? The best feeling, in my opinion, is when you're working so hard to achieve a certain goal and you're at that point where everything could go wrong or you succeed. And then boom, you achieve your goal. It's the best feeling. It's just a liberating feeling. And what gives me that feeling is the sport of wrestling. I've been wrestling since 7th grade, and ever since I started, it's definitely shaped me as an individual. Hard work is the best way to grow and measure your progress over time, and working hard can bring you things that you never could have dreamed of. In this speech, I'll be talking about wrestling and what it's done for me and how it's changed me as a person. So let's go back to where it all started. Middle school, 7th grade, started at a new middle school, and I didn't know many kids, and a lot of them were bigger than me, and fighting was a not a rare occurrence. So, but even then, I always wanted to be respected. I always wanted to be noticed, or not noticed, but have a presence of like, oh, that's Felix. Like, everybody knows Felix. And even the teachers caught on to this. And when I would have parent-teacher conferences, they always said the same thing. So I remember it. Felix has great leadership skills, and Felix has great potential to be a strong leader. They always said that. Maybe they said that to every kid, but I always took a note of that. But let's go back to where it started. I was having an arm wrestling contest in my science class with this kid, and my science teacher comes up to me and tells me that I'm not facing a fair opponent. And I didn't know what he meant by that, because I was facing a kid that was roughly the same size as me. Maybe there was like a 5 or 10 pound difference. And we were the same age. So how's that not a fair opponent? He tells me if I want to face a fair opponent, to come over here and do 10 dips. So he puts 2 discs together, and I go onto the desks and I start doing my dips. I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the 9th dip, I barely get up, and I go down for the last one. And as I'm coming up, it's taking me time. It's taking me at least 20 seconds, and I just remember pushing as hard as I can. My face is getting all hot. I'm feeling like the veins in my neck are straining. Like I'm pushing for dear life here, and I finally get up. I get that last rep. He's like, "There, you faced a fair opponent." And later on, it didn't reside with me right away, but later on, I realized that was the first lesson that my wrestling coach had ever taught me. It was that the only fair opponent you ever face is you. So, after class, he asks me if I ever thought about joining the wrestling team. And I was like, I didn't even really know the sport of wrestling existed, honestly. And after that, I went home and I asked my dad to sign me up for wrestling. Right away, he didn't want to, but it took a little convincing, and he signed me up for wrestling. And the first day of practice, I was disappointed. I had this motion in my head that we're just gonna get into the room, start going on the mat, start rolling around, start just going straight at it. But that's not what we did. The first day, all we talked about was the schedule of the season. We got the uniforms, singlets, and I was pretty disappointed. Then the next day, we did some live drilling, worked on some technique, and I was getting a little bit irritable, because all I wanted to do was have some live matches, just go at it with some of the guys. And my coach caught on to this, and he started setting up live matches, and everyone got a live match except for me. This went on for a couple days, and I realized that I was slacking in my technique and my drilling. And because I was irritable, because I wanted live matches, I was like, oh, this doesn't matter, I'm just waiting for my live match. And it didn't click with me that the reason I wasn't getting live matches was because I was so focused on getting a live match that I was disregarding all of the technique in the drilling. And my coach saw this, so of course he didn't give me a live match until I realized that the drilling and the technique is what is important first, and that the live matches was clouding my judgment. So he showed me my second lesson, which is delayed gratification. You might want something so bad, but never let a want cloud your judgment of the simple things that are right in front of you. So after that, I got my live match, and I wrestled like, watch my language there. I wrestled very durably, and I had a great live match. I won my match, and that lesson didn't click with me right away. It took me a couple of weeks to realize what he was teaching me. So then after that, I wrestled my 7th grade season. Next year came around. I was the captain of the wrestling team, my 8th grade wrestling team, and then wrestled that season. And 9th grade came around, and I had moved from Burnsville to Waconia. And after moving from Burnsville to Waconia, I did not realize the caliber of wrestling that I was doing. I thought I was a stud when it came to the wrestling I was doing. And when I moved to this school, I was in a world of pain. There's countless practices that I dreaded going to. There's countless hours that the first practice I went to, I threw up. And that was a real sign to me that I hadn't been training as hard as I really thought I was. The conditioning was kicked up a notch. The drilling kicked up a notch. Everything just kicked up a notch. We had morning practice. I've never had a morning practice before, and it really, the first year, it really hit me what becoming a man was. And from getting up early for the morning practices to going and doing extra sprints, everything just to get better and be better. It was a terrible struggle, but getting through that struggle is what shaped me and helped me realize that without struggle and without suffering, you really don't grow as a person. And that's what wrestling has done for me, is really make me grow as a person. I wrestled my junior year, my sophomore year, my freshman year, and I did not get to wrestle my senior year due to COVID. My father wouldn't let me wrestle because it was just too dangerous at the time, and I understood that, but it sucked because I had wrestled all those years. I didn't get to wrestle my senior year. But my favorite part of wrestling and what it's meant to me is, even though I didn't get to wrestle my senior year, all of the lessons and all of the training and all of that still resided in me. So even though I didn't have practice at 6 a.m. in the morning, I would get up at 6 a.m. in the morning and go for a run, go to the gym. Then I would start my day, go to school, maybe get another workout in it later in the day. And all that was just from wrestling. So my junior year, I ended up placing 5th at sections. So that would normally seed me pretty high for the next year. And even though I didn't get to wrestle that year, I still treated my daily routines as like I was still wrestling. So that's really what helped shape me as a man and really helped me hone in my skills and philosophies. Joining the wrestling team made me feel like I was a part of a growing community. It helped me grow mentally, physically, and it's always going to be with me. So that's what wrestling has meant to me, and that's how I'm going to close out my speech.